ABM Physiotherapy Oncology Division, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Danny Gupta and all our delegates for today's webinar on topic recent updates in lung cancer. Dr. Danny Gupta is Senior Consultant Medical and Hemato-Oncologist from National Narayana Hospital, Delhi. And today's session would be of near about 40 minutes, and any delegates having any question can ask after the talk or can write in the chat box. Sir, please start.
Yeah, thank you, Jayaprakash. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to Fresenius for giving this opportunity for discussing this topic. We are going to discuss today on lung cancer based on there was a World Cancer Congress on Lung that is called IASC 2020. And I mean to say that recent advances in lung cancer, this is really recent, which at least I am hearing first time, all the trials. So they are worth noticing some of the trials which we can incorporate in our day-to-day routine practice. And whatever latest is happening around the world in lung cancer, we all should know. So based on that, initially it is based on non-small cell lung cancer, on the EGFR, what is new, some rare mutation, and then some immunotherapy trials, latest trial, and in small cell lung cancer, and then on last one is mesothelioma. So there are a lot of slides. So in some of the slides which are phase 1 data, so I will rush through all those slides, but we can take some carry-on message from those trials also. So first, as I said, we are going to discuss the non-small cell lung cancer. Many times we have seen that once we have sent the liquid biopsy, or not liquid biopsy, NGS on the tissue sample of the NSCLC, so we can get this type of mutation, KRAS G12C. Maybe we can call it a group 12 countries driven non-small cell lung cancer. So in particular, this mutation, what we should do, as of now, we don't have any targeted drug, and we have to use the chemotherapy only in this particular subset. But one trial is coming up, that is Chrysalis, for this particular mutation. And the drug name is, CodeBreak 100, and drug name is Sotorasib. So in this particular mutation, so that was phase 2 trial, and the registration trial for this highly selective, irreversible KRAS G12C inhibitor. So randomization, inclusion was locally advanced metastatic NSCLC with this particular mutation, which have progressed on prior standard therapy and no active CNS metastasis. So dose was 960 milligram once a day, and radiographic scan were doing every 6 weekly, through week 48, and then every 12 weekly. So this was given until progressive disease. What are the results? So basically, demographic profile, baseline characteristic, median age was 63%, smoking history was seen in 5% around, 92% around, and 5% had never smoker. Performance status 0 in 30%, 1 in 70%. Previous line of chemotherapy have received systemic treatment in some form or other. 42% in first line, second line, third line, all the 3 lines they have received. And they have been exposed to platinum-based chemotherapy, anti-PD-L1, PD-L1 based on PD-L1 expression, or even with the combination. So all type of patients were taken into this particular CodeBreak 100 trial. So overall response rate was around 40%, in which there was 2.4% was the CR rate, complete response, and PR was also seen in roughly 34%. So duration of response was also long, 80% was prolonging. More than 80% disease control, 3 patients achieved CRs and 43 PRs. So exploratory biomarker analysis was done. There is a surprising outcome in which if PDL1 is low, response is high. PDL1 is high, more than 50%, response is low with this particular drug, Sotorasib. So this is inversely proportional to expression of PDL1. Another outcome was that we can look for STK11 and KEAP1. If these 2 mutations are co-mutated, then response is low. If those both mutations are not there, wild type, then response is high, 42%. But if only STK11 mutant is there, 50%. So when both are mutated, response is low in this particular subset. So we can look for these 3 mutations altogether, 4 things round together as per this particular trial. One is KRAS mutation, this particular mutation KRAS G12C. Another is PDL1, STK11 and KEAP1 for assessing the response with this particular drug. Safety wise, any grade side effect was seen in 70% patient. Diarrhea was common, nausea, then liver enzyme alteration, and maculopapular rash was also seen in 6% patients. So another trial which is phase 3 based on this phase 2 trial, that is CodeBreak 200, in which this sotorasib was compared with docetaxel. So this was a treatment-naive patient, more than 18 years with untreated locally advanced metastatic patients with this particular mutation KRAS G12C, and comparator was docetaxel standard chemotherapy arm. Sorry. So this was a CodeBreak 200. I think the result of this trial, this is the registration trial, so results are not out as of now. It may come in time. So this was a phase 3 trial. Another point we are coming across in EGFR mutation, that is EGFR exon 20 insertion. So once we have deletion 19, we have L858R. So we are very happy that we have targetable drugs. But exon 20 insertion, this is the one point where we see that those targeted drug will have some negative effect, in fact. So what are the targeted drug for this particular mutation? So exon 20 insertion. And this was a real world data outcome. If these patients were given TKI, irrespective of mutation found, that like exon 20 insertion or L858R or exon deletion 19. So all 3 types of mutation, they received the TKI. If they receive the TKI, standard TKI, which we have, first generation, second generation. So real world data, this first graph is overall survival. So this is the prognostic graph showing that this is a prognostic marker also, in the sense that red one is showing outcome with the common mutation found, EGFR L858R and exon 19 deletion. So blue one is lower down, which is showing exon 20 insertion. So as a prognosis wise, this is a poor prognostic marker because response is around 10% lower, 10 to 20% lower all throughout. Even up to 4 years, we see the outcome with the standard TKI or what. So outcome is less than the common mutation. If we talk about predictive value is also very high, because if we give the TKI, particular TKI, gefitinib, erlotinib, so outcome is 2 decimal. So I think this is a real world progression-free survival. So progression-free survival, there is a huge difference in this particular mutation, exon 20 insertion. So TKI should not be tried, should not be given in this particular type of mutation. So the same trial was in this form. By therapy wise, if patient has given the platinum based therapy, what is the outcome? TKI alone or immune checkpoint inhibitors. So these were the analysis based on this particular mutation. So in patient with EGFR exon 20 insertion, platinum based therapy was the most frequent first line treatment option and with a better outcome if we see the first line setting, second line setting or third line setting. So these are the suitable patients for the chemotherapy only, which is platinum based doublet. Another is the Chrysalis trial, in which they have analyzed some targeted drug for this particular mutation. So exon 20 insertion mutation, in fact, in the second line setting. So post platinum based. So this was a dose escalation trial, phase 1 trial, and basically this particular experimental drug is amivantamab, EGFR MET bispecific antibody, and where they have analyzed what is the appropriate dose. Slowly they escalated the dose 140 to 1750 milligram on day 1 and day 8, Q2 weekly. So later on they expanded on this particular mutation. If less than 80, then 1050 milligram. If more than 80, 1400 milligram. So same schedule, day 1, day 8, Q2 weekly. So this was the dose escalation trial. Baseline characteristic was standard. Age is more than 60. Female were also taken. Roughly around 60% were female. Asian, 40%. White were also taken. In this trial, smoker, non-smoker, equivalent distribution. And brain metastases were in 20% of the patients. So 2 previous line of therapy they must have received. Side effect profile, more than grade 3 adverse event were seen in 35% patients. And routine side effect, if you see the EGFR related, is seen in more than 15% of patients, rash, pyronychia, stomatitis, pleuritis, or MET related, because this is a combined inhibitor, EGFR MET inhibitor, and MET related are hypoalbuminemia, peripheral edema. So hypoalbuminemia is seen in 3% patient and peripheral edema in no patient, no one. So infusion related reaction were also seen during first infusion in 94% of the cases. So response, if we see the overall response rate 40%, with the clinical benefit response of 74, and CR was seen in 4% of the patient, and 40% patient have PR, good PR. So if you see this Kaplan-Meier curve, first plot. So all these history of previous brain metastasis, whether it's there or not, there is no difference in the outcome. On smoking also, it is not dependent whether they are non-smoker or smoker. And all throughout the Asian or versus non-Asian equivalent response with this drug. And this is something interesting outcome based on the location where this is exon 20 insertion is found. If we can get this outcome in the NGS or what, helical region, if it is there on the helical region, if it is near the loop or far loop, or not detected by ctDNA, by liquid biopsy. So response is dependent, is so variable. We can see that in helical region, if it is there, then 100% response rate, or response rate with CBR, clinical benefit response also 100%. If it is far loop, it is 25%. So near loop 41% interim. So this is based on the location of exon 20 insertion, how much is the response we are able to get. Then another drug for this exon 20 insertion is also there in the pipeline, that is mobocertinib. Mobocertinib is also there, phase 1 or phase 2 trial. I would skip this trial. This is a very initial study, and so response wise we can see it says got good response and very minimal side effect. So to summarize our exon 20 insertion, one trial have shown that real world outcome, this is a negative predictive marker for TKI, and those patients should receive the platinum based chemotherapy as of now. But 2 trials are in the pipeline. Chrysalis, that is showing the amivantamab, which has acceptable safety profile, and another phase 1 phase 2 trial is mobocertinib, which was active in the patient with the NSCLC harboring EGFR exon 20 insertion, showing the evidence of durable responses. So after that, there was a new concept which is emerging. We all know that antibody drug conjugates. So we have seen trial for breast cancer, and similarly there is a Destiny trial which is called Destiny lung trial in those patients where HER2 overexpression is seen. That is Destiny Lung 01. So this is a novel antibody drug conjugate, trastuzumab deruxtecan, and this was a phase 2 study in which patient with relapsed refractory unresectable metastatic non-small cell lung cancer was taken into account. HER2 overexpressing, in which there was cohort 1, cohort 2. I think this was also very initial study, phase 2 for finding the dose finding study, and where HER2 mutated is seen, in which they have used 6.4 milligram per kilogram. What is the outcome based on this trial? Baseline characteristics are very standard, and other marker was also EGFR, CROSS, BRAF was seen in 6% patients, very minimal, and 35% had brain metastasis. So confirmed overall response, if based on IHC 3+, it is 2%. with no CR, IHC 2 plus 10% response rate. Overall, there is a 12% response rate seen with this experimental drug in Destiny Lung 01 trial. So this was the interim analysis and phase 2 trial with side effect profile very standard as the drug related was seen in 90% patients, like pneumonitis, fatigue, nausea. So these are the side effects which were seen in this particular trial. So adverse event of special interest in this trial, we can say that pulmonary embolism, cough, effusion was seen in some of the some patients, and dyspnea, systemic lupus without lung involvement. So this is one particular side effect was seen in this trial. Another trial is same ADC, antibody drug conjugate, which is also phase 1 study, datopotamide deruxtecan. This is a TROP2 directed antibody drug conjugate. I think this is first time TROP2 directed with topoisomerase 1 inhibitor payload. So, and this was also dose expansion study based on 4, 6, 8. Slowly they expanded on the dose. So therefore, this is very initial study. And based on this study also, they have shown good response in terms of some CR, complete response, and progressive disease also seen in 15% of patients. So response is also seen in these type of patients. So to summarize with this part, ADC, antibody drug conjugate, there are 2 trials of late. That is Destiny Lung 01, another is Tropopion Pan-Tumor 01. So this is also dose from both are in fact dose finding study. So now we are going to some key immunotherapy related studies. These are also some unique in some forms of markers, like they are predictive markers, KRAS and TP53 mutation. So we are coming across first time that these 2 mutation, KRAS mutation and TP53, are predicting the response to immune checkpoint inhibitor. Definitely in those patients where EGFR is wild, ALK mutation is not there. So EGFR and ALK wild population, if they have these 2 particular mutation, KRAS or TP53, so there is a different response to PD-L1 inhibitors. So, and patients were exposed to both, even PD-1, PD-L1 inhibitor and CTLA-4 inhibitors. So current analysis evaluated overall response rate, PFS, OS in these particular type of patient where these are both are wild, both are mutant, or one is wild or one is mutant. So this was the baseline characteristic in so many cohort in which very minimal small number of patients were taken, some 30 patients, 50 patients, and different trials. And in all these trials, they have analyzed with the KRAS and TP53 mutation. And when they analyze the efficacy, so TP53 mutation was associated with better outcome in patient with mutated, and similarly KRAS mutation was also associated with better outcome in terms of our response and PFS, but not with the wild type. So basically both mutation are predicting the better efficacy in the immune checkpoint inhibitors. So both mutation, co-mutation was associated with better outcome. They have taken the popular and OAK trial in which TP53 KRAS co-mutation predicted PFS benefit with atezolizumab over docetaxel. And this is very interesting outcome that it was independent of tumor mutation burden or PD-L1 expression. So it was irrespective of these expressions. So maybe in near future, we can access the patients with the TP53 and KRAS mutation and straight away go for the immune checkpoint inhibitor without going through the PD-L1 expression. So this is the outcome and this is the result from this particular analysis. Then there was the understanding that if we combine ipilimumab with the pembrolizumab like nivolumab, so there may be better outcome. So there was a trial Keynote 598 in patients with metastatic NSCLC with PD-L1 TPS more than 50% or equal to 50%. So this was a phase 3 study. Standard randomization, first line setting, no targetable actionable drug, no actionable targets was seen. Pembrolizumab standard dose, ipilimumab 1 mg per kilogram, 6 weekly interval. So alternately cycle to be given for less than or equal to 18 doses. And Pembro is standard less than equal to 35 doses. So roughly around 2 years schedule. And demographic profile is quite well balanced in two arms. Response size, we see that all response is 45.4% in this, and same is here. So response wise, we can see it is not enhancing the response. Ipilimumab is not enhancing the response of pembrolizumab as such. So this was a negative trial in terms of outcome, and safety profile also showing that a more side effect with this combination, Pembro with EP. Then there was a trial to see that Nivo EP is better than Nivo in the metastatic EGFR mutant patients. So previously we were discussing EGFR wild patient. The patient who are EGFR mutant must have received TKI, or prior chemotherapy also. So they were randomized into Nivo EP standard arm, standard doses, and versus Nivolumab. So baseline characteristics was standard. BDL1 was less than 1 or more than 1. They were randomized. EGFR, all were taken into account. Exon 18, exon 19 deletion, L858R. Brain metastasis were also taken. So in the combination arm, best overall response rate, we can say that partial response was seen in 6%, stable disease in 37%, and progressive disease in 56%. So with Nivo also, response was seen in 40% of the patients. So 5 patients attained clinical benefit. All had EGFR exon 19 deletion, and 4 of the 5 were T790M negative. So this trial also was not very effective. So PDL1 status did not correlate with the response to immune checkpoint inhibition. TMB did not correlate with the response to immune checkpoint inhibition. Low TMB observed in 13 evaluable patients, and gene expression profiling did not correlate with the response to immune checkpoint inhibition. So this outcome based on this trial. So they were not very fruitful trial. So another trial was based on PDL1 expression, which is Empower Lung 1 trial, and in which there was an exploratory analysis of the outcome based on PDL1. So this is the new drug, which is Samiplimab in the dose of 350 milligram 3 weekly until progressive disease of 108 weeks, and plus control arm was the chemotherapy arm. So where PDL1 is more than 50% and patient were progressive, may continue with Ipilimumab after 4 cycle also, along with chemotherapy. So this was a new drug based on PDL1 inhibitor, more than 50%. Here randomization they have done based on 90% PDL1 expression, 60 to 90 or 50 to 60. So if we see the response wise, this curve, overall this drug has shown 35% reduction in the tumor size as compared to the chemotherapy arm. So better response. If we see the patient as per the PDL1, more than 90%, 38% response, more than 50%, 28%. So not much variation based on the PDL1 expression, although it is slightly higher in the 90%. So PDL1 more than 50%, there is a uniform response rate with the Samiplimab. So this is a new immune checkpoint inhibitor, Samiplimab, which have shown response in this particular subset. And this is the Empower Lung 1 study. If we talk about the overall survival with this drug, 12-month overall survival, which is also slightly higher than the chemotherapy arm. Side effect profile, this is also treatment related, 37%. Anemia, fatigue, pneumonia was seen in grade 3 side effect was seen in these type of patients on Samiplimab. So Poplar and Oak combined study analysis based on these 2 markers which I discussed in previous slide. Co-mutation in DDR pathways and response to atezolizumab in NSCLC. I have discussed in previous slides. So if there is a co-mutation, So patients are responding in a better way to the atezolizumab. So to key take home from this World Cancer Congress on lung cancer are these 5 points for the immune checkpoint inhibitor. One is KRAS TP53 mutation and response to immune checkpoint inhibitor. So this is directly proportional. Keynote 598, this was a negative trial. Nivo-IP also not shown good response in EGFR mutant patient. Empower Lung 1 was a positive trial for semiplimab. And co-mutation in DDR and atezolizumab response also associated better outcome in these patients. So now after this stage 4 lung cancer, there are some trials which have shown relevant finding in the early stage lung cancer. Best one discussed since last 1 year is ADORA trial, which is in the adjuvant setting for osimertinib versus placebo in resected EGFR mutated non-small cell lung cancer. So standard randomization on locally advanced or metastatic operated EGFR mutation found exon 19 deletion L85R. So based on this stage 3, we go for resection or CT-RT, and then maximum time from surgery to randomization were allowed roughly around 10 weeks without adjuvant chemo, 26 weeks with adjuvant chemo. So radiation patients were not taken into this trial, only after surgery. So 10 weeks were allowed if we are giving, if we are going without chemotherapy, adjuvant chemotherapy, and 26 weeks are allowed if adjuvant chemotherapy is being given. So osimertinib standard dose versus placebo. Until 3 years there was analysis, men, female, 70% was the female in both arms, smoker, non-smoker equivalent distribution, 70% non-smoker. Asian was 60%, 55% has exon 19 deletion, 45% L85R, and so distribution of the receiving of this adjuvant osimertinib. And outcome-wise, if you see disease-free survival with adjuvant chemo, without adjuvant chemo, with osimertinib is still not reached, with placebo is 22.1. And if you see the stage-wise distribution, stage 3A we can see with adjuvant chemotherapy 38.8%, placebo 12.9%. So very good outcome. So 20 months difference is seen as compared to placebo with good hazard ratio 0.10, 0.13. So we can see that stage 1B or stage 2, they have given adjuvant osimertinib, but results are still not reached. So it may show still better outcome. And rates of disease-free survival events in osimertinib arm with or without adjuvant chemotherapy was comparable in the overall population. So 11% versus 11%. So if we see the disease-free survival is better outcome in stage 3A as of now. So based on this trial, they have got the approval also in the adjuvant setting. So this was some side effect profile, which was standard side effect or health of quality of life index was also noted in that trial. So another very, very interesting trial, which was ITACA, tailored what is the adjuvant chemotherapy in resected stage 1, stage 2 or 3 in NSCLC. Tailored in the sense, sometimes we do see that chemotherapy combination are there, we give adjuvant setting 3 or 4 cycle, vinorelbine, gemcitabine, pemetrexed, paclitaxel. Either we can go for based on ECCR1, high or low, thymidylate synthesis, because we are worried with the side effect of pemetrexed and with the platinum. So these two markers, whether they are high or low, so that is called tailored therapy. This is first time this trial is happening, and this is the phase 3 trial. In fact, based on the marker, we can decide the chemotherapy drugs. And in this very, very extensive outcome in the sense, profile 1 where ECCR1 is high, TS is high, both are low, 1 is high, 1 is low, profile 2 and 3. Based on these 4 subsets, they have analyzed the outcome, and results are published and in the abstract form as of now. And we can follow in our practice once the final paper publication is out for this particular trial. which is very interesting trial. That side effects are low, very low in the tailored therapy. Neutropenia we can see 13% as compared to 18% in the standard arm. So even taxane based or platinum based therapy, lot of neutropenia, thrombocytopenia. So these are minimal if we go for the tailored therapy. Then it is the trial based on the radiotherapy. If we can, whether we can go for PET based radiotherapy plan. Initial stage 3 setting, we are given 50 gray upfront, and then whether PET adaptive therapy can be given in different schedule. I think this is purely radiotherapy trial. I would skip this trial, RTOG 1106. So PET directed radiotherapy. So these were the 3 trials in the early stage non-small cell lung cancer. Liposoma irinotecan, which was tried after first line therapy, and again this was also dose escalation trial, 85 mg per meter square IV or 70 milligram. So dose exploring trial was the basically this resilient part 1, and efficacy wise they have shown some response rate, 40% response rate in partial response. However, complete response was also seen in 4 patients. And side effect profile we can see these are there, but I think with the 70 milligram per kilogram optimal outcome is seen with the less side effects. So this may be the standard dose for the further study, 70 milligram per kilogram per meter square. So this was another trial in which they have tried the lurbinectedin. So one drug was, we remember that terbinafine, which was tried in small cell quite long time back, but it was failure of the trial. So another drug is that lurbinectedin. So this is a class of, I think, terbinafine only, which was combined with irinotecan in relapse setting. Again, this was also the dose finding study. So unless until we have the phase 3 data, we cannot follow that. This was another drug which was tried in relapse refractory setting, which was bispecific DLL3 directed therapy. Again, dose finding study, which are not of our use in as of now at least. So in small cell cancer, there were 3 trials. Resilient part 1, which was tailored therapy based on the ERCC1 and TP53. Now last one is the malignant mesothelioma. So this type of patient we do get around, I would say, once in a year or 2 years. So this is not very common presentation, but still we do get trial, and this was a confirmed trial showing the immune checkpoint inhibitor response in this particular subset. So this was a phase 3 trial, and in which they have shown a good response, nivolumab to 40 milligram and 2 weekly interval, flat dose, where they have received the 1 prior line of therapy until progressive disease. This was given. So in this confirmed trial, randomization was baseline characteristic was male 75%, male dominated, and PDL1 more than equal to 1% was seen in 40% of patients, I think. And epithelioid histology. This is quite interesting that they have randomized the patient based on epithelioid histology. 90% patient had epithelioid histology. So median overall survival was seen. 12 months overall survival was 40% in the nivolumab as compared to 20%. So p-value was 0.018, quite significant. So 40% was surviving at 12 months in the second line setting. So if we see as per the PDL1 status if positive, nivolumab is showing 40%, as I said, 12 months overall survival. PDL1 negative, it is again 36%. So irrespective of PDL1, we can use nivolumab in malignant mesothelioma, in which they are showing the response. But if you see the histopathology wise, epithelioid variety is showing the better outcome, 40% outcome as compared to 26%. If you see the non-epithelioid, response is not much higher, and p-value is also not that significant. So conclusion from this analysis is that in confirmed trial, we can use nivolumab if the PDL1, irrespective of PDL1 expression, and epithelioid one is showing the better outcome. So side effect profile in this particular subset, serious adverse event was seen in 41%, any grade. All side effect was seen in 99. So number of patients received further immunotherapy were 1.4% with nivolumab. Means they have been gone for some second line immune checkpoint inhibitor after this nivolumab. And death related to serious adverse event have been seen 5 with nivolumab versus 4 with the placebo. So these were the safety analysis. So here I would stop my presentation. So this was very exhaustive talk, but I thought that some new data we should come across which will be helpful in further practice. Thank you.